Okay, so let's also quickly go through the coffee cup modeling again. So if you didn't follow along in class, you can follow it step by step here if you want to do it. But since we've already seen the whole process in class, I'm going to go through it again relatively quickly. And so I've got an empty project open up here, and I've already saved it as a coffee cup. So it's always a good idea to save your at the beginning, save your project first, so you can always Control S in the process to save to save what you have. Okay, so now let's bring in our reference image, the coffee cup. Let's press a middle mouse button, go to the front view, and let's drag and drop our coffee cup image onto it. Okay, and let's since it's too bright, let's go to view and configure and go to the back tag, and you can see the transparency slider. You can slide it up to the right to make it less opaque. And we can begin by first creating a cone to match its shape. Notice we're using a cone instead of a cylinder because a cone gives us control over both its top radius and the bottom radius. So let's increase its top radius, and also we can increase its height. You can also use these yellow dots to control it. Okay, so we can just match it roughly, like so. And okay. And remember, we mentioned this in class that, so let's first enable the display to show the lines. We talk about this in class that we don't, first of all, we don't need that many subdivisions, these many rotation segments. So let's maybe decrease it to 10. Or I think we did it as 12 in class, but I think either one should be okay. But what's really matter here is that because notice that we have the coffee cup handle on this side, meaning it should be this side here, and in later on in the process we will need to basically bridge the faces on the cup body as well as the faces on the handle. And if it's only a point or an edge, basically a corner on this side, it would be very difficult for us to bridge the faces. So we wanted to rotate a little bit so that we have one of these faces facing straight to the right side. So in order to rotate it perfectly, we can put in a number. So let's make sure it's rotating in this direction. Okay. So let's, for example, because we have 12 segments, we can put in 360 degree divided by 12. Okay. So let's press enter. Then it will rotate exactly one segment away. Okay. Which gives us 30 degrees. And then we can use this to further divide it by 2. Then it will rotate only half a segment, which will make this face perpendicular to this direction. Okay, so we have what we wanted. And now let's also make the handle here by creating a tube. And let's make it face the other direction. Make it face go to the tube, and then select objects, and then select the plus Z under the orientation setting. So it will be facing in this direction, and let's use this triangle and then drag and drop, drag it to here to match the position. And then we can also of course change the size here. And also I think the outer ring, we will need to adjust this slider. Okay. Or we can go to the perspective view and use these two yellow dots. So this one will control its thickness, and then this one, if we drag it in this direction, we can further adjust its okay. And also we don't need that many rotation segments. Right now it's 16. We can just put maybe 8 would be enough. Yeah, 8 would be enough, and I think that's also what we did in class. So we have this face and this face to bridge with the body. And we also don't need these. We also don't need these segments, which is 4. Now let's put in 1. Okay, so that should do it, and maybe make it a little bit thinner again. Okay, so this should be good. Now let's Control S to save, and let's also. Oh, so I forgot one more thing. On the cone body, we need maybe one more segment. So we have 2 faces to bridge with the handle. So right now it's only 4 on the height segment. Let's increase it to 5, and that should be all. And let's select both of these, and then hold down Alt, and then create a null object. Oops, actually, let's undo. We should be hold down both Control and Alt. Now it will use one null object as the parents for both of these 2 primitives. So let's rename it back up. Okay. And another thing that I almost forgot is on the cone, again on the body, we also need an additional segment here so that we can extrude it later. So on the road, let's go to the caps tag, and on the cap segments, right now it's 1. Let's increase it to 2, so that we have an additional segment to work with later. Okay, so now we finished setting up. We finished setting up our coffee cup base mesh, base shape. We can make a copy. We can Control S to save it, and then make a copy by holding down Control and drag and drop this whole thing here. And we can hide the original one by holding down Alt and then click on these dots until it's red. So now we have this. And let's right click. Let's select both of these, right? And right click and choose Connect Objects and Delete, which will connect the 2 primitives and into one polygon objects in this list, and delete the original one. So now we can drag and drop it out of this null object and delete it. Delete the null object. We only need the polygon, and we can rename it cup. So right now it's only 1 polygon object under the object list, but still topologically it's still 2 separate polygon meshes, and we will need to join them later on. Okay, so but now first let's do it step by step. Let's go to the polygon selection mode. Right now we wanted to extrude this, push this face down to make the empty interior of the cup. So let's go to this ring selection again by pressing down a mouse button and select ring selection, and we can select this ring of faces, and we can instead of using the extrude tool, we can simply use the move tool here, or press E on the keyboard, and I can just hold down Control, which means duplicate, and then I can move these faces down. It has the same effects as extruding. And I can go to the other view, the front view maybe, and then see how deep I need to move it. Okay, so here should be good. Notice once you've extruded, and then afterwards, if you still need to adjust its height, you no longer need to hold down control. If you keep holding down control, it will extrude it again, so it will have more segments. Of course, unless that's what you want, but we don't need those. Okay, so let's move it here, and let's go to the edge selection mode and double click on the edge ring here, and press T on the keyboard to go to the scale tool, and I press somewhere empty so that I can scale it uniformly, and I can look at the top view to or the side view to judge how far I need to go. So here should be fine. Okay, good. Now we have the basic shape of the cup, and let's join the cup and the handle. So in order to do that, let's move some edges away, okay, to make space in between. Move some faces away. So let's first go to the polygon selection mode and double click on the body, the cup body, and then let's go to select, and then high selected. Okay, so now we only see the handle, and let's select this face and then hold down shift to select also this face. Let's press E on the keyboard so that we can move it this direction. I can maybe look at I can actually go back to select and then show all to bring the cup back, because now I already selected the face. I can see how far I need to go. So I think somewhere here should be enough. Okay, and we also need to move or slide these edges up so that the faces matches better. So let's double click on this edge to select the whole ring, and I move it up. And notice if we are moving it, it will deform the cup shape. It will change the shape of the cup, right? That's I think we mentioned this in class. So we actually need to use the sliding tool, the slide tool here, right here. Looks like an arrow with a line. So let's use this tool, and let's click on the edge, hold down our mouse and move it up. So now you can see that it's sliding along the the shape of the polygon. Okay, so it wouldn't change the polygon's shape. So let's double click on this edge and slide it up somewhere here, and let's also double click on this one and hold down our mouse and slide it up. We slide it up so that it's roughly facing this this handle's curve. Somewhere in the middle should be good, and here somewhere near the top, sort of like that. Okay, so let's go to the polygon selection, and it already selected these two faces. If not, let's go to the move tool by pressing down press E on the keyboard, and then let's select this one and this one, and let's also select this face on the cup, and also this face. So we have, if you can see, we have these two faces on the handle selected, and then these two faces on the cup selected. And we will use the bridge tool by pressing B on the keyboard, or you can use this icon here, it says bridge. Now we can join these two, or rather these four faces. So I can hold down my mouse button on one of them and then drag and drop it across to the other one. Now it will make a bridge with all these between all these four faces. And now topologically, it becomes one polygon mesh. To prove that, let's go to the move tool and double click. Now you can see it will select the entire shape. Okay, so of course we can also move it. We can go to the front view and we can move some of the points around to match the shape better. Okay, so let's come here and let's go to the rectangle selection tool, and let's drag a rectangle. So we select the and we make sure we go to the point mode, and let's drag a rectangle to make sure because it has 2 points, right? It has 1 point here, 1 point on the other side, so it's 2 points. So we use the rectangle selection tool to select both of them, and let's use this triangle to move it up like that, and this one move it down like that, so it matches the curve or the shape of the handle a bit better. Okay, good. So now once we have the base shape, we can put a subdivision surface. So let's go to the model selection mode and select the cup, and let's hold down Alt and choose or hold down this icon, and let's select subdivision surface. Okay, so now the subdivision surface will be made as a parent to the cup, and now we have a smooth cup shape. But as we mentioned in class, the edge of the cup is quite sharp. Because as we mentioned in class, if we have 4 points here, and if we were to approximate the curve out of these 4 points, starting from this bottom direction, it would be something like that, because it only has this much points to work with, and the curve will be kind of a sharp up here. But instead, if we keep these 4 points, but we make some extra points here and here, and now if we were to make approximate the curve out of all these points, then the algorithm will be forced to stay closer to these points, because now it's pulling the curve a bit more. It has stronger control over it. So this way we can make the curve a lot more smoother. So let's do that by going to the edge selection mode, and let's of course select our cup, and let's press down to select the ring selection, and let's select the top ring of edges here. Okay, and let's use the edge cut to make a cut in the here, and let's use the offset slider to slide it up so that it's closer to the top edge. And let's do the same thing inside. So let's go back to the make sure we first go back to the ring selection tool here, and then let's select these all these inner edges, and let's go back to the edge cut tool, and this time let's first make a cut and also adjust the subdivision to something like maybe 4. That should be good. And let's go back to the ring selection again, and only this time select the top ring, like so. Okay, and let's make one more cut, but this time we wanted to slide it back, so it only make one cut. Let's cut here, and let's move it up. Okay, so now it should be good. So this time, if we enable the subdivision surface modifier, we can see that the top parts now become much smoother. Okay. Okay, so now we finished modeling the cup body, and let's go ahead and make the bottom cup holder. Okay, to make the cup holder, let's draw a spline. So let's go to this spline pen tool, and let's also enable the snapping. So snapping will make our job easier. So let's click that. But we also need to change some settings about what we snapped to. So in this case, we wanted to snap to the grid or work plane, and also snap to guides. So now you can see our pen. If you move closer to these work grid or points, it will automatically snap to it. Okay, so now let's stay on this line here in the center and click. And then you can see, because we enable snapping to guide as well, then we can draw a sort of a horizontal line across. So we move somewhere here and we click again, and now I move up and I just follow roughly the shape of this. But notice that we are looking at the cup holder at an angle, so we should not go here. We should probably go, actually, if we imagine the side, it's probably something like that. So we go back down like that, and go back down here, and then we can go back here. And let's end our drawing by going back to the first point. So it finished the tool. Okay. Okay, good. So we have the curve, and now let's use the modifier. Let's select the spline. Okay, and let's use this modifier called length, and let's hold down Alt on the keyboard, and with the spline selected, let's select also the length. So it makes the length as a parent to the spline, and we can already see what it's doing. Okay, let's hide our cup first by holding down Alt and then double click here. Okay, great. So basically what the last tool is doing is basically, if we look at it here, it's basically taking this shape of the spline and spin it 360 degrees to form this polygon shape. And if we can see its effects easily by adjusting the angle slider. So this is how it's working. It's taking this original shape that we drew, right, using the spline tool, and then spin it around until it hits the angle that you like. Of course, you can make a half of a holder, but in this case, let's move it back to 360 degrees so it forms a complete plate or holder like that. And we can also hold down, selected the left, and hold down Alt again, and then click on the subdivision surface. So we have a smoother shape. But again, we have the issue of a very sharp edge. So let's disable these, both of these maybe, and let's go back to our front view, and we can go to the point mode and then select our spline, and there would be, so under if we select the spline and under the point mode, there would be a tool on the left sidebar called create points, which allows us to add additional points to our curve. So let's click somewhere here. Oh, and because we have the snapping enabled, it will snap to some grids, so we don't want that now. So let's disable the snapping. Okay, so let's click here, and it should add a point to the curve. Let's add another one here. Okay, so this should be fine. And let's see its effect by enabling the left and the subdivision. Now you can see the edge is a lot more smoother. Okay, So this is basically our cup holder if we look at it like that. And so if we sometimes see these strange strange shape formed by the curve, I noticed that this is almost like it's our original shape was like that, right? It's a sharp angle, but for some reason, the shape that was formed has this strange curve like that. And so on the spline, there's an option which is enabled by default called a closed spline. This one should not be enabled. So let's uncheck that. And now the sort of sharp curve will be gone. But we still have this slight issue of the bottom of our cup holder being kind of a black color, and I think this might be due to our curve. Remember at the beginning when we first make the curve, this whole bottom line is sort of horizontal, perfectly flat, which actually is not good because when this whole curve being spin around, and the bottom is entirely flat, maybe the software didn't know which side should be basically the front side. Should it be facing upward or downward? So I noticed that in order to fix this issue, the solution would simply just be to select the spline and go to the point selection mode, and let's select the bottom. Where is it? Oh, let's select the spline, and let's select the bottom point, and just to move it downward slightly, very slightly. And notice that even with just a slight differences in its position, if we move it down a little bit, notice that that issue is gone, and now we get a perfectly lit and shaded surface. And we can even make it a bit nicer by smoothing out these sharper corner as well. So we're going to use the same technique as we smooth out the edge of this side. We can simply go to this use this create point tool, and let's disable the snapping again, and let's add a few more points around these corners. So for example, notice that pay attention that here, this is the right now where our model is shaped. We can also see this one, right, like that. And if we put a point here, notice how the shape of our model will change to follow the new points that we added. For example, we add a point here. See, it's the shape change in order to, trying to follow the new points that we added. Okay. And same here, let's add one here, and let's add one here. And also for the inside as well, let's add one here, let's add one here, and one here, one here. Okay. And maybe these three, we can move it up like that, so it follows the reference image a bit better. Okay, and you can feel free to further move these points around to match or to create the shape that you want. Okay, so basically now we have our cup holder, and we can bring our cup back by holding down Alt and click on this these red dots. Okay, great. So now we have a finished coffee cup, and let's disable the axis.